Scoreboard! Scoreboard! Yeah, you mad? Now, in all seriousness, I actually love JJK, and I also do love Gojo. I think he's probably one of the most interesting characters in an anime in a very long time, and I think that's why a lot of people like him. Plus, bro is charismatic, and, like, I'm pretty sure, like, half of the dudes who watch JJK are literally gay for him. As you know, if you know, little spoiler alert, the ending was not very favored. A lot of people did not like the ending of JJK in the manga because, well, a lot of people did not like the fact that Gojo died, and a lot of people also don't like the way that he died. That really made a lot of people pissed off. Like, I knew so many people who were keeping up week after week after week. Every single time a new chapter came out, they were on top of that stuff trying to figure out what was happening next. I don't know a single one of those people who was not pissed about that ending. One of my friends who was like one of the biggest JJK fans I have ever seen literally said he hates it now. I mean, I guess that's up to the person to interpret. I still think it's okay to make whatever ending you want if you're the creator, but you have to understand there's going to be some backlash if you murder your favorite or your show's or manga's favorite character. Now, funny enough, I actually have this pulled up by Game Rant, and this actually just came out a few days ago. Gege reveals his original plans for Gojo Satoru's ending. I was kind of curious about this because I was like, oh, well, maybe something changes, right? Maybe he had a plan for him to stay alive and maybe, you know, maybe start a family, maybe continue to teach at Jujutsu High or create his own school, whatever it might be. And no. Matter of fact, Gege always had a plan for Gojo to die. He even says in the statement, this is at a convention or whatever not that long ago, he was actually answering questions that people had to ask, which is pretty brave of Gege considering the amount of death threats this man has received. I don't know if I would ever go in public after making that ending. And the article actually says one of the most interesting questions concerning his original plans for the character Gojo, especially referencing his sudden death at the end, based on what Gege has said, his original plan for Gojo was always for him to die. He was always meant to just be dead. Some people question whether that's really true, considering that he eventually just learned to hate Gojo apparently. So many people praise Gojo, it apparently irritated him. Even his own wife loves Gojo so much, which, I mean, if you gotta kill him, I mean, I guess I understand that. But something that I think the article really hits on that I think makes a lot of sense for a lot of people who are Gojo fans that were offended by the ending was how it ended. People were enraged by the fact of how Gojo died because the reason he died against Sukuna is because he let his guard down. That is probably one of the most silly things I think I have ever heard. The guy who literally is the most overpowered character, and even there was proof admitting that he was more powerful and could have beat Sukuna, let his guard down and died. Which, to be fair, I guess that's pretty accurate considering he let Toji do that to him. I think to a certain extent, I understand killing off characters, but I think that so many people getting angry about this is like beyond me. I've seen plenty of articles talking about so many Gojo fans and JJK fans will argue that the ending was rushed and that Gojo's death was unfair and it wasn't realistic. And to a certain degree, I understand like the whole being caught off guard thing is probably one of the most silly things I think I've ever heard. I also have to say this though, and I'm going to be completely honest, and I've said this before, and I love Jujutsu Kaisen, I love Gojo. I cannot watch standing shows where the plot armor is as thick as queso, and literally no matter what happens to the main characters in the show, they will just not die. It is incredibly infuriating and boring to watch a show like Dragon Ball Z, where someone like Goku can literally go against God himself and somehow still come up on top. That just is, to me, is like ridiculous. There's no chance. There's no gamble in whether, okay, if the character engages in this action or in this conflict, there's never going to be an ending where that person permanently dies. Which is why I like shows like JJK and Chainsaw Man. And also, I'd like to say, anyone who has even read the Shabuya Arc, I don't understand this. If you've read the Shabuya Arc or watched it, I can't imagine in anyone's brain and still come to the conclusion that some of the main characters weren't going to die in the end. Like, you had so many popular characters in the Shabuya arc just be wiped off like that, just out of nowhere. One of the main characters dies in the Shabuya arc. I don't understand how this comes to like an amazing, oh my gosh, Gojo died. Really? You couldn't see that? Like, are we like surprised by that? I just don't understand being surprised by that. And I feel like so many Gojo fans hate on the series because my favorite character died. Yeah, I watched Chainsaw Man. Everyone knows what my favorite character was. They end up dying, technically, and I still really like it, and I still read it, and I still watch it, and I will still support it. Because at the end of the day, that's their choice. If the artist wants to make the manga or the show go the way that they want it to go, I have no problem with that. I think that's completely fine. I might disagree with it. I might think that the Denji versus Makima fight towards the end of part 1 was kind of stupid because of a multitude of different factors. But at the same time, I still love the show. And I still love the manga. I still read it. I still watch it. And I still support it. Because at the end of the day, I would rather read or watch something that actually came from the artist versus a bunch of people complaining on the internet. Maybe that's just my opinion as someone who's an artist who really likes people to express their art in the way that they want to. But for me, I'm like, if you want to end the show in a certain way, I see no problem with that. And I honestly think if that's your vision for whatever your art piece is, go for it. Of course, I think everyone also has the right to complain about it. I just don't think it's surprising that Gojo died. I mean, to me, it's like, even with the alternative ending at the end, Gojo still not getting his happy ending. That was no surprise to me. Also, apparently, there was some words going out that the anime ending might be different. I didn't really talk about it because I haven't found any hard evidence on it, but supposedly that's the case. Could be completely fake, word of mouth. Anyways, tell me what you guys think of that, and let me know what you think of Gojo's death and if you think it's fair. If you don't, well, I guess that's just your opinion. Anyways, I will see you guys later.